When I first thought about teaching my dog yoga poses, I honestly didn't know what I was getting into. I mean, who would? It's not like there's a manual for this kind of thing. How to teach your dog yoga, a beginner's guide. I can picture it now. A glossy cover with a golden retriever in a perfect downward dog pose, looking all zen and enlightened. But here I am, just me and my overly enthusiastic beagle Max, who thinks that every time I roll out my yoga mat, it's an invitation for a game of tug-of-war. So there I was, mat unfurled, ready to dive into my practice, and Max, with his big brown eyes and wagging tail, was circling me like I was some kind of mystical being. I thought, why not? Why not try to teach him a few poses? I mean, dogs are naturally flexible, right? They stretch and twist in ways that would put most humans to shame. I figured, how hard could it be? I started with downward dog, thinking it was the perfect pose for him. It's practically named after him, after all. I got into position, hands and feet on the mat, and called him over. Max, come here! Downward dog! He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I swear, he tilted his head, and I could almost hear the gears turning in his little doggy brain. What do you mean, downward? I'm already down here. But I persisted. I coaxed him with treats, waving a piece of kibble in the air like it was a magic wand. Look, Max, this is how you do it. I demonstrated, my body forming a perfect triangle, or at least what I hoped was a perfect triangle. Max, however, was more interested in the treat than the pose. He jumped up, pawed at my hand, and then promptly flopped down on the mat beside me, belly up, ready for a scratch. No, buddy, not that pose. You're supposed to be stretching. I couldn't help but laugh. Here I was, trying to channel my inner yogi, and my dog was just living his best life, completely oblivious to my lofty goals. But I wasn't ready to give up. I tried again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Come on, Max. Downward dog. You can do it. I even added a little sing-song voice, thinking it might entice him. He looked at me, then at the treat, then back at me, and finally, he did it. He stretched his front legs out in front of him, his back end still firmly planted on the ground. It was a half-hearted attempt, but I'll take it. Yes, that's it. Good boy. I cheered, showering him with praise and treats. He wagged his tail, clearly pleased with himself, and I felt like I had just accomplished something monumental. But then came the next challenge, upward bark. I thought it would be a fun twist, a little play on words. I got into a back bend, trying to demonstrate the pose, and called out to him, Max, upward bark. He looked at me, head cocked to the side again, as if to say, what are you doing now? I tried to mimic the pose, arching my back and looking up at the ceiling, but all I got in return was a confused stare. Max trotted over, sniffed my face, and then promptly sat down on my chest. No, this is not how it works. I laughed, trying to push him off gently. You're supposed to be barking, not sitting on me. But he didn't care about my yoga ambitions. He was just happy to be close to me, and honestly, that's what made it all worth it. I realized that maybe this wasn't about teaching him poses at all. Maybe it was about spending time together, finding joy in the absurdity of the situation. So I decided to embrace the chaos. I rolled onto my back, and Max, sensing my vulnerability, decided it was the perfect time to give me a slobbery kiss. Okay, you win, I laughed, scratching behind his ears. Maybe we'll just stick to the basics. How about we do some doggy stretches together? I got up and started doing some simple stretches, and to my surprise, Max joined in. He mirrored me in his own way, stretching his legs out, rolling onto his back, and even doing a little twist. It was like we were in sync, two beings just enjoying the moment. I couldn't help but think that this was the real essence of yoga, being present, connecting with your body, and sharing that experience with someone you love, even if that someone is a goofy beagle who thinks yoga is just another form of playtime. As we wrapped up our little session, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Sure, we didn't master any poses, and I probably wouldn't be teaching any dog yoga classes anytime soon, but we had fun. Max flopped down beside me, panting happily, and I couldn't help but smile. In that moment, I realized that sometimes the best lessons come from the most unexpected places. Maybe it's not about achieving perfection or mastering the art of yoga. Maybe it's about finding joy in the journey, embracing the silliness, and sharing those moments with a furry friend who just wants to be by your side. So here's to more yoga sessions with Max, more laughter, and more moments that remind me that life is a little better when you can share it with someone who thinks you're the greatest thing in the world, even if you're just trying to teach him how to stretch.